Everyone. My name is Bruce Dupree. I'm the Creative Services Manager with the Alabama Cooperative Extension System at Auburn University, and I'm joined by...
I'm Janet Gwynn. I'm a media production specialist with Alabama Cooperative Extension System at Auburn University.
Great. Well, we're glad to be with you all today. We have our presentation is titled, If Walls Could Talk. And Janet? Okay, we're going to start our talk with the takeaways. Usually the takeaways come at the end, but we just wanted to put these up front to work both as an outline and just a reminder of what of the direction we're going with this today. The first takeaway is extend your brand. The second one is sharpen your brand. Third is build your brand. And the last is walls do talk. Now, you'll notice from these takeaways that we're going to be talking about branding today. So we're going to be talking about how to extend that brand, and that brand is going to be on in regard to the building that Janet and I both work in, or that you may be working in. And we're going to be talking about the other processes of sharpening your brand each and every day. And if you don't have a brand, then we suggest and urge you to get your brand built. And last, walls do talk. So that's a good segue into talking about some of these walls that are around us in the media and around the world. So the first one. So as you look at this wall, what does it say? It looks like there's a little girl looking at this wall, and she's maybe wondering that same thing. Well, to us, that wall says self-expression. It also might say vandalism. It might say rebellion. It might say rage or anger, but it's speaking to all those who walk by. Another wall. Maybe we've, here in our national pastime, we see this outfield wall, and this wall represents boundaries. It represents goals and achievement. It represents over the wall is a home run. And of course, there is the advertising on this wall. Can't miss that opportunity. Here's a hospital hallway. What do these walls say? Well, they say calm and serenity. They say clean and sanitized. They say soothing. They say this is one clean place. And last but not least, probably one of the greatest of walls, it says big. It says expansive. It says strength and boldness. And it also says stay out as well as perhaps stay in. It too is a boundary of sorts. So these are some walls that are out there that we should think about. So what would our workplace walls say if they could talk? Well, they might say, we need color, paint me, please. Or they might say, tell me where I am. Or we value our history. We're in a state institution. Or I've missed you. When are you coming back? Or just simply help. Okay. Could we be using our workplace walls to tell our messages more effectively, creatively? Well, sure. So 3 years ago, we were out of this building and a building project started. Our building here on the Auburn campus, Duncan Hall, went through a renovation process. First, they started with the roof, then they moved to the main building, which you see here, and to the annex or other building, which you see would see behind here. So this is an 80-year-old building. It had lots of needs. It had accumulated lots of dust over the years. Well, once the building was completed, we noticed a couple of things. One, there were a lot of white walls. And two, if we didn't create a visual system, other people would. So this is what we were encountered with: white walls. Now this is very intimidating to some folks, very challenging to others. This is like the white of a canvas, but this is what we walked back into, and we needed to do something with it. So right now, what does this say? It says emptiness, blankness. It is soon to say the messages of Alabama Extension. Okay, rather than bringing back the old furniture, dated artwork, such as paintings of our founding fathers and old agricultural pictures and familiar work zones, Extension communicators, staffers reimagined what we wanted our building to say. In other words, it was our job as the communicators to sort of seize the moment, seize the day, and create what we wanted our building to say.
This all is a part of sharpening our brand, you know, looking forward instead of looking back.
Looking forward, not looking back. So these were the messages. These were the 5 main messages that we sort of gathered around the table and sort of came up with, dictated both by the rooms and the footprint of the building, as well as what we wanted it to say. So here you have welcome, impact, relationship, inspire, and leadership. Our building here is starting to have its voice. Other messages, commitment to diversity, mission, technology, professionalism, relevancy, future forward. That's where we want to be going, future forward. Well, we stood back, we thought to ourselves, well, this sounds a lot like our brand. We work on our brand every day, but how do you brand a building? Just a reminder, and this is part of building your brand. Your brand is everything you want your clients to see when they walk in the door. Now, it's not just that. It's how you answer the phone. It's the programs you deliver, the people you hire, everything visual. The brand is everything we want our clients to see when they walk in the front door. Well, here are examples of products that we produce daily that represent what we want that brand to be. On the far left, you see a website, you see a magazine ad, you see reports, brochures, graphics, digital banners. Hopefully you see similarities here in color palettes, balance of space, see color palette, space, variety, diversity, and we're hitting it at every single piece we do. Okay, this piece here, and Janet's going to be talking about this. This was our sort of our foundational, bringing it all together for our administrators to review and to check out and see if they wanted to go from here to where we're thinking about going. So here you have the 5 concepts at this point: welcome, impact, relationships, inspiration, and leadership.
Yes, as a part of this plan, we included floor plans, we included sample images. We wanted to show how this would look to the best of our ability so that they could get a clear picture of what we'd be doing. But we wanted to be sure to be organized and plan ahead. This is our outdoor sign. This is the first thing you come to as far as meeting our brand. We had an existing sign that needed to be updated. Some of our limitations were that we had to use the same bronze finish on our sign that was used across campus. We didn't have power to the sign, so we weren't able to have our sign be lit. But those are some of the limitations. We also would like to encourage you to think creatively. We were only able to kind of put a cover over our sign and update it that way, but we had other ideas. Bruce had a great idea about having some kind of like curved sitting wall that would house our sign. that would allow people to come and be together, and maybe with some power ports and things for their cell phones. And so, definitely think creatively, and, you might be limited to what you can put here, but be sure that you don't leave put all your ideas on the table, I guess is what I'd say.
Probably would have blown the budget.
Yeah. Another thing about this sign is there's another sign in our front lawn that it takes care of the building name and the address, and it's pretty standard for all the buildings on campus. So those are things that we didn't have to worry about including here. But this is, we want it to be really visual from the road area, and so we feel like we accomplished that with this.
One more thing about this, not all of our ACE members may be in schools where they have their own buildings. We do have our own building. Some of you may share them with other academic units. So also, Extension at Auburn University stands separate from schools. So this gives us a little bit more autonomy, both in mission and on campus. And so we are able to do a little bit more. If you don't have that same setup, once again, extend your brand. Look for other ways to do this. If you don't have a building, do it on a hallway. If you don't have a hallway, do it on trailers that go out in the field. Find ways to extend your brand.
This is a setup of what we wanted our lobby to look like. You can see the pictures in the lower right that show some niches that used to hold paintings. You see our front desk and kind of our front sitting area. Again, some things that we can't control are like the size of the furniture. We probably would have chosen beefier furniture, or maybe less beefier rug for that. And so, those are things that we're working around. But here it shows how we wanted our mission to be pictured. And another sign is "Everyone is welcome," which is a part of our civil rights statement, and that actually shows a lot of different languages on it as well.
Yeah. Another thing was before the renovation, this building was filled with old portraits, and it was often said it was like walking into an old library or even an old funeral home. It just had that stamp of old and dusty, and now you can see it's been both lightened up and the walls are speaking.
We chose to use a lot of text in our design, I think, to show a more modern take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is up close of what you would see when you look to the left and look to the right as you walk into that entryway, that foyer. On one side, you have "Everyone is welcome." It's represented in lots of different languages. This is also part of our civil rights statement. Very important to those of us who work at Alabama Extension. On the other side is the mission statement. The Alabama Cooperative Extension, the primary outreach organization, the land grant mission. Once again, this is important to know. So when prospective hires or new employees or visitors from outside of the state, inside of the state, outside of the country, students, when people come here, these are really our two hallmark statements as they see as they come in.
And this is the kind of completed project. You'll see that we chose to have these things put on acrylic panels. We put vinyl on one and the other one is printed. And so this is kind of how our lobby area turned out. Also from the lobby, you can see our digital signage, and it runs EXTV.
Right.
Go ahead.
This lobby area, before we sort of took hold and started our design, had this 6-foot monitor, and what it ran was a building map, and if you were looking for a particular employee, it was touch screen, and it would take you to show you where that office was. Well, nobody used it. It just didn't work. So we had this monitor, and it was like, well, what can we put there to further not just welcome people into the building, but welcome them into the mission and the programming of what Extension does. And so Extension TV, EXTV, was launched. It runs both stills and video. These are some of the title pages that you might see if you walked in. So first thing you might see is mountain lions in Alabama, or avian influenza and how it can wipe out flocks of chickens. And you see some Spanish programming. You see support of local agriculture, how we've adapted during the coronavirus times. And so these are just some of the messages that flip every 20 to 30 to 45 seconds. They're on a loop. That loop has about 20 to 25 slides that continue constantly, both day and night. So these are some more. You look at these, you go, hey, these folks are interested in wildlife. They're interested in saving money, job application tips, diversity, plants. And so you'd be surprised at people stand and they wait, they watch, they look. Administrators see programs, they see activity, they see our mission statement being fulfilled.
And this is an area that we call our impact area. And we like to show our success story images here. These are our conference rooms. These, as you see, these are samples for acrylic panels, and they started as ads, and it is important for us to show our return on investment numbers. And so we felt like that was a good place to put that in a conference room. So when people come for meetings, they can see the results, because we're a results-based institution. And we also wanted to be sure to show a lot of diversity in age, diversity in people, diversity in programming. So you'll see a lot of different faces here, and we wanted to show like the people behind the programming as well. Do you have anything else to say about this one?
I hope you're getting a sense by now that our walls are not just white walls anymore. These walls are the voices of the people of Alabama. They're the voices of producers. They're the voices of extension educators, and we're getting our messages out there. People are seeing what they do. They understand what we do. We are making an impact.
These are three of them up close. So you'll see these people are kind of diverse in like their area of the state they come from, age, Kenneth Reese, he was the president of 4-H, and we have two other specialists here, and someone who's in the industry. So we started by interviewing them and kind of getting their perspective. We started using the term "we believe," and so we asked each of them kind of what they believe in, and so we felt like that really spoke to what our programming was all about. So you see Eve, she believes in clean water, so that's a part of what we do, and so those are kind of some of the messaging that we use to put on our walls so that you would see kind of that run through our programming.
We're putting a face and a voice to the people and programs that we work with each and every day. It really makes a difference.
Here's kind of a finished look at our conference room. You'll see kind of the proposed ones and kind of what was put on the wall. You can see that we're working around like kind of the limitations of our space. You'll see cord covers and light switches and different things that we had to be sure we had room for. In the lower left, you'll see a smaller picture of kind of the other side of the room, which shows where our TV is. So when we have meetings here, it doesn't show it in this picture, but the EXTV runs on all of the TVs in the conference room. We can update it from a single office, and it just loops. So when you come into a meeting, you're seeing movement, you're seeing color, you're seeing our brand, and you're also seeing permanent installations like on the walls. This is some sample images that I took when we were trying to prepare for the project of how other people around campus had used these acrylic panels and wall spacers. They're actually made so you can backlight them. It's about 5/8 of an inch acrylic panel with the metal spacer. We really liked this because it was changeable and we could update it. And as our message changes or as our program changes, like these things weren't necessarily so permanent that we couldn't be evolving on our walls. So this is the School of Forestry and the way they kind of had one. And then I think our public safety building also had just some images from around campus that we have looked at for inspiration.
It's a very fresh, it's a very modern look. It's not cheap, but it looks great.
Yeah, they're actually back printed. And if they are backlit, they just look really great. But if not, they do tend to print maybe a little bit darker. So we made some adjustments as we were ordering things when we realized that. So definitely work with your vendor to get the best product.
Okay, this is our leadership area. As you enter the building, go down the central hallway, you come to this off hallway, and there's a slight incline from the ground floor to the door, and so that's why the images that you see here were that are staggered. Originally, when you came into this area, you saw you saw a dozen black and white, very old, very dated portraits of past directors. Now they've been brought into a center space, and the emphasis is more on the quotes of our leadership, our director and associate director. There's also a pop of color in this otherwise very light colored hallway. So once again, very fresh, very eye-catching. The walls are talking.
And here's kind of a finished view of it. So you can see that we still incorporated kind of the past director's pictures, and of course we can't go back and make those all in color, but we chose where we had to use black and whites to make sure that it was mixed in with color so that you didn't get that kind of like dated feel to it. So this includes our past directors and our assistant and current director. And as these people change and as people come and go, these signs can be updated. So that's the nice thing about it. This is our break room. We wanted it to be kind of an inspirational place where you were building relationships. It's a place for us to come together, to have celebrations, birthdays, retirements, lunch. So meetings. It's a large space, and I think we had about 13 plus square feet of mural area. One thing that we did avoid in this space was we had someone suggesting that we do a student group designed mural in this area, which we took a look at some of the suggestions and some of their previous work, and it just didn't seem to fit with what we were trying to do. And we wanted the whole building to feel cohesive. So putting something that was kind of completely different in one space and having it not be the same as the rest of the building wasn't really what we were going for. So we chose to do a mural here that shows kind of like all the faces of Extension and happy, smiling, diverse, you know, and then use our kind of the 3 pillars of our core value statement, which is research-based programs, materials and educational activities, positive relationships, relevant programming, and of course, again, that everyone is welcome, which is part of our civil rights statement.
Another cool thing, this space used to be a loading dock. And so there's sort of this industrial vibe that goes on in this space. The loading dock doors are gone. They've been replaced by large windows. So it's really cool to sort of drive by the building at night. There would be light in this room. This really billboard slash mural just projects out of the building to all who drive by and see it. It also brings a much needed burst of color to otherwise sort of monochromatic, whitish, grayish area. Our original hopes too were to not go ahead with the next one, was to hopefully to avoid the furniture and have more of a sort of a coffee shop feel in here. This is where it's important to get to your space before others do.
Yes, yeah, we kind of inherited the tables and chairs here. They were extremely bright and extremely uncomfortable. So
They are not comfortable.
if you're thinking about it, you're like, oh, those look great. Well, try to sit in one before you order them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a bright and lively space. Our next areas was another inspiration area. These were supposed to kind of represent the department areas in our building. So like you have all of 4-H kind of in one area of the building, all of IT, communications. So we wanted you to know where you were. So instead of just going with kind of some basic directional signage, we wanted you to kind of get the sense of where you were in the building from what was on the walls. So these were going to be word walls. And this is an example of what maybe 4-H would have done. And so you see here the hands, heart, health and hands, head, heart, health and hands, excuse me. And so you get kind of what they're all about. And this also allowed each department to kind of submit words. And we kind of went through them and worked with our editors to come up with different like parallel phrases and stuff like that to put up around the building. So this is a finished area. This is our communications and marketing area, and you can kind of see some of the terms that we decided on. We also wanted people to be able to communicate and not have to like post things on their door. So we purchased silver dry erase boards for each office, and you can see that here in the background. So that if you have to go to lunch or you want somebody to know where you are, or you want to leave a phone number in case somebody stops by, that's where someone can write a note. Or if you have a document that you need to leave or something like that, that's where you can pin it. There's 2 magnets and a pin with each of those.
So before we did this, there were 87 different types of dry erase boards, cork boards, no boards, flowers, fun sayings and such. And trust me, what is there now, it's a lot more professional.
Yes.
It ties the building spaces together. It just really looks good.
And we're kind of competitive at seeing who can use theirs
Mm-hmm.
the most. So. Here's 2 other finished spaces, information technology and our business office. So these are kind of single word lists. It shows kind of what they're all about and maybe what drives them, just so you have a good idea of what to expect when you get there.
Our font typeface is Helvetica Nueve, or Neue, or New, however you want to say it.
Or missay it.
Or missay it. We use the full range of fonts. We use all caps, we use lowercase, we use the heavy and the light. The look of these, the balance of color and light and line, these are also reflected in the publications, the digital products that we create every day. So there are those common threads.
Here's 2 other areas, so you can kind of see a variation on how we did them. This is human resources on the left and the business office on the right. These were done all with what they call matte exhibition vinyl, and we chose, there's a orange, a green, and a blue paint colors that represent different areas in our offices. So you're seeing mostly orange here, but we tried to use whatever was kind of close by to these and match that as best we could with the exhibition vinyl.
Okay. Once again, I can't say it enough. The building, the walls of this building are truly talking. servant leadership, relationship management, teamwork, competency building. These are words that we use every day, week after week, and we're seeing them again and on our walls. Great reminders of who we are, what we do, what we want other people to see in us.
Yeah, this definitely speaks not only to the people that don't work here, but also the employees as well as for both.
Okay, it would be amiss if we didn't put this in here. So those of you that are fans of the University of Tennessee or Texas, somehow the builders, the architects left their mark on our building. So this is what we see going from our section to the front of the building each and every day. So go Vols.
And choose your paint colors wisely.
Yes.
Kind of to wrap up here, we wanted to kind of talk about our budget and our timeline, because we definitely think this was money well spent, but it does take some planning and some, approving the finances behind it. The monument sign was a big part of this, and we were really limited on what we could do there and what materials we had to use. So the cost for the monument ended up being around $6,000. Our dry erase boards, ended up being about 10 a piece. You can see the different acrylic panels and the sizes and where they were. The mural was about 13 square feet or so it came out about $1,500. The vinyl, we ended up doing 6 areas to start with, and that ended up being about $800 or so. So our total budget on this project was about $15,000. If we had expanded it, you could go crazy, or you could be more limiting. And as far as our timeline goes, we started probably presenting and getting our proposals together in the spring, and then most of this was completed by the following fall. So there was a lot of different university departments that we had to work with, like facilities and our university architect, and then as well as the vendors. So that does tend to take a fair amount of time.
And I'll just say this too, from the results or the impact of this, the people that work in and around our extension offices and campus, they like coming to our building. They like seeing their faces. They like seeing their programs broadcast. They like having a better understanding of what extension is and what civil rights are, and it just helps us in our explanation to them of what we are and what we do. We want to thank you for letting us share with you today. If you want to respond or talk to us further, our email addresses are on the screen. There's Janet's, there's my own. We would be glad to talk with you about any aspect of this job. We want to just remind you that what we've shown you today is an effort to extend the brand, sharpen the brand, and build a brand. And remember, walls do talk.
Yes.